Welcome. This is an open box and practice setup review of the JoyTutus SUV tent for camping double door design, start to finish. Comes in this little bag, a little duffel bag kind of a looking thing. Pretty handy. Looks pretty sharp. Got a couple of hot buckles on there. Notice the instructions are built right into the bag. I like that, and they're sewn in. So unfolding the tent is pretty easy. Here comes the fiberglass poles. There's elastic inside the poles, so they pop together really simply. Laying out the tent is really easy. I put in the center pole first. I really think this was a mistake. As you'll see later, it becomes a little bit of a pain when we put the other poles in, the parallel poles. I initially tried to tension that first pole, discovered that was nearly impossible. I went to get some tools. I got a vice grip and a pair of pliers, and it still was difficult because of the position that it was in. Now I'm trying to put in one of the parallel poles, and notice that the center pole becomes an obstacle to putting in the parallel pole. And eventually get that in, but I think the order should be different on the second try. All the little buckles in between kind of seem to snag on the inside of that fabric, which is kind of understandable. So here comes the second pole, second parallel. Get it in there. Twisting becomes an issue. Not sure why. Twisting of the fabric. So I'll tension the parallels now. I thought I was going to need some tools on the parallels, but it doesn't. Not at all. At this point, I tried to go ahead and tension that center pole, but as you are about to see, that's not going to be real possible either, because it's not in a position that it can be bent easily. So go ahead and finish tensioning the parallel poles at this point, and notice the twist. It was so irritating. I'm not sure what caused that twist. Maybe if we did those first and it didn't have to deal with the center pole until second, I don't know if that would make a difference or not. We'll find out. But tensioning those parallel poles are quite easy to do. So no tools required on those. Alright, now it's time for the center pole. And just in the position this was in, it was real hard. It's got to go on that outer flap, the little rain flap out there. And it's hard to get that first one. Maybe a different position would be best, I don't know, but I got it. And then it was time for the second one. Use the tool, boom, and it's there. And it pops right into place. And of course, this is the side that the van goes in. Works. That looks like it's going to work really well. Let's do a walk around now. Notice the straps on the side that are built into the rail areas that are going to be able to tie down the straps, tie down to the anchors in the ground. I think that'll be good. Somebody mentioned that a former version of this had where the flaps, the door flaps would fall to the ground and you'd have to step over them. Looks like they fixed that, so the big doors open up to the side, which is really good. I like that. So let's take a look inside here. Notice there's a little pocket for keeping whatever, cell phone or whatever. I wish there were multiple of them. Actually, there are two, and I wish there were about 6. But the seams look good. In the instructions, it suggested waterproofing the seams, just as a precaution. So fairly large. I think it's going to do fine. come outside, we'll take a look. Yeah, I think it'll be good. All right, let's work on taking this thing down. The vice grip and pliers I used. That's the first thing I'm going to jump on is that center pole. I kind of think of it as pulling back an arrow on a bow and arrow, and that's the position you're in. Pops out. Didn't know exactly what was going to happen, which way it was going to go. Let that lean a little bit and decide to just kind of let it go. Boom. Yeah, that was kind of satisfying actually. So pop out the parallel poles, start pulling on the poles, and I realized that it's really best to get in a position to push a pole because the poles are going to come apart inside the fabric rail there. So gotta work with that just a little bit. Finally get them out. It's not too big of a deal. They fold together nicely, fold up nicely, the poles do. Now I wanted to fold the tent up really nicely and get it back into the duffel that it came in, but it's kind of like folding a fitted sheet. It's just nearly impossible, so I'm kind of tired. It's after a work day. I'm folding this thing up. So at this point now, I'm just wadding it up, getting it in the duffel, and I get it into the duffel, and it works. It's okay, and I can travel with it, I'll say that. How about that? So the big takeaways on this are put the parallel poles in the fabric rails first. Let them lay there. And then put your center pole in. Let it lay there. Then tension your parallel poles, the outside poles, and then tension your center pole. I think that's going to be the best route. Also, the fiberglass is interesting. I'm not that wild about the fiberglass. I didn't think there was going to be that big of a deal. But that evening I had a number of very painful fiberglass shards in my hands that I didn't even notice that I got while I was working with the poles. And so I think I probably damaged the outside of the poles when I was using the tools. And they went into my hands, the shards went into my hands, and I learned that fiberglass shards are much more painful than wood splinters. And I work with wood all the time. I have splinters pretty often. But fiberglass splinters are a whole nother world, and they're pretty much the same color as my hand anyway, and so getting them out was a bit of a challenge. So I would go ahead and spend the money, $20, $25, whatever it was, extra for aluminum poles, and get that done. Other than that, it looks like a pretty good tent. A little harder to set up than I had wished, but maybe with practice it'll become a lot easier. So I hope this helps in your tent purchasing endeavor, and I hope you have a good time. Thanks for watching.